Hey guys. So I don't usually do anything like this, but it's fine. I'm drinking mimosas at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't have a baby. She's at daycare. Um, I had to do some work today, so I had to drop her off. But I'm about to go get her soon. But before I did that, I decided to get a drink or two in because I won't be able to if she's around, right? But I was making this video, right? Not to talk about why I dropped Novella off at daycare, but to talk about my experience in labor and delivery. So lately, a lot of Black women have been coming forward with their stories, right? As their maternity stories, and I've read a lot that Black women have a high infant mortality rate, or not necessarily making it out of the labor and delivery rooms themselves, or having a lot of complications, which I found extremely strange considering the entire American medical industry was built on the backs of Black female slaves, right? So here goes. You guys gonna think a lot of this is bugged out because I still do, but I definitely wanted to share. Um, when I was 38 weeks pregnant, I was right after Christmas. My mother was here visiting. I live in Virginia, right outside of DC, and my family is in Connecticut, right? As majority of you know that. So my mom was still here visiting. They stayed the week, which I was really, really grateful for. So that as they were getting ready to leave, like my due date was January 6th, 6th or 8th, depending on who you talk to. So it was the 27th of December, um, 29th, my bad. It was 29th of December. And I went in for my 38-week appointment. And while there, I was being checked to see if I actually began dilating or not. And while they were checking me, the midwife accidentally stripped my membrane. She didn't say a word to me. I said, ow, and all she said was, oh, sorry. So I go home, and within hours, a couple of hours, I'm extremely uncomfortable. Right? So my mom, right, bless her soul, I'm telling her, like, Ma, I don't feel right. She's like, oh, you got gas. So me, always taking my mom's word for it as far as, throughout my pregnancy. She's done it 3 times. Who else do I listen to? I'm thinking that I was gassy. So for the remainder of the evening, every 2 to 3 minutes, I am running to the bathroom. Every 2 3. Can you imagine doing that from 8 p.m. at night, about to 8 a.m. Right? So I'm every 2 3 minutes. I had no sleep whatsoever. At one point I even stopped getting into bed because I was afraid. I wasn't afraid. I just didn't want to continue to make my husband uncomfortable. So I would lay on the floor and get up and go, get up and go, get up and go, right? And nothing. So finally, about 8 o'clock in the morning, I called the hospital. I woke my husband up and I called the hospital and I said, I think something is wrong. I think you guys might have given me an infection. Uh, so it's like, okay, well, sit in the tub for 20 minutes or something like that, and drink lots of water, and take 2 Tylenol. So I did that, but I couldn't last in the tub because the contractions were so bad. But at this point, I didn't know that they were contractions, right? So when I could no longer sit in the tub, I got out, I called them, and they told me to come right in. So I went in. When I went in, I was only a centimeter dilated. They checked. I was only 1 centimeter dilated, so they wanted to send me home. Then I immediately, like on cue, started vomiting in the trash can. Um, so they decided to keep me. My blood pressure rose through the roof. Come to find out, I had preeclampsia. But check this. So at my 37 week appointment, I told them that my ankles were swollen more so. So, and I got laughed at. Ha ha ha, it's your first kid. your ankles are supposed to be swollen. And I'm like, not like this. I don't think so. I got elephant feet. Like, I've gotten this far without my feet being swollen. Now, why all of a sudden are they swollen the way that they are? Got laughed right out the hospital. Okay, fine. But there was a reason, I had preeclampsia. So I guess the lesson there is if you know something is wrong because you know your body, push. Don't let them wave you off. Push, So then, we're at the hospital. Back to the story, right? So we're at the hospital. They end up, what's the word I'm looking for? They put me in a room, so they kept me. But that's not the word I'm looking for, if it comes to me. But anyhow, they kept me in they put me in a room and whatnot. They assigned me nurses. Everything was fine. So at that point, I ended up getting an epidural. I still didn't realize that they induced me early. I didn't know that. I knew something was up, but I didn't know for sure that that's what happened. So they put me in a room. I had two amazing nurses, Tracy and Serena, I believe their names were, right? But sister girls, and they were on it, and they treated me really well, and I love them to this day. Those were my daytime nurses. My nighttime nurse wasn't as nice. But so the epidural eventually stopped working, right? So I wanted to do my labor without the epidural, but I had to get it. The pain was too excruciating, and it was coming. The contractions were coming too frequently for me to not have been dilated. For me to only have been 1 centimeter dilated, 1 centimeter dilated. So after about 24 hours, the epidural stopped working. Right. So mind you, just to give you an idea, I was in labor for over 44 hours. So almost 2 full days. So at some point, they decided that it was time for me to push. I was 9 centimeters dilated or 10 centimeters dilated or whatever, and so I could push, right? So after a while, guess what? I was only 6 centimeters dilated after pushing for an hour. And I understand that checking to see whether or not you're dilated is one of those kind of guesstimation, but come on now, you could have done a lot better than that. So now, because I was in such pain, Novella wasn't in the birth canal, so I'm pushing, and she wasn't even in the birth canal yet. Another thing, she was sunny side up, right? So sunny side up meaning that her face wasn't facing her back. So she was upside down, but she was looking forward, right? So when you have a baby, their eyes are supposed to be looking towards your back. Nope, she was looking forward. So that was another issue. So they told me that I had to do an emergency C-section, right, which I did. Novella came out, head swollen, everything. This is my first time doing a video, so I'll try to post a picture of her with her swollen head. So needless to say, that was disheartening, to say the least. But they had to put me under because none of the anesthesia would work for me. So they literally had to knock me out while this whole process happened. So when she came out, she went to my husband first before coming to me, which isn't a problem. But, as a woman, you definitely want to be there. You done carried this baby for 9 months. You done ripped your insides out. You want to hold her first, what my husband did. But that doesn't have any bearing on what our relationship is now. What else happened? So, most women experience this, white, black, Indian, whatever. Lost if they have a C-section, so they lost a ton of blood on the operating table, right? The difference with me is once they closed me back up, my blood cells were still bursting, and they attributed it to me having a sickle cell anemia trait. So with that, of course, they wanted me to have a blood transfusion, right? So I was fighting it. So because of this, I'm in the hospital for 5 days because they were like, we're not letting you go unless you have a blood transfusion. And me being a holistic promoter that I am, I'm like, I'll eat some spinach and I'll be fine. We don't need anybody else's blood. We don't need anybody else's blood inside of me. But because I am active duty military, they finally pulled that card. Like, okay, well, basically we own you, and you are not leaving here unless you have that blood transfusion until your blood cells go, you know, rise back up and whatnot. But once I was ready, my husband and I, we were ready to ride it out. We were sitting in that hospital for months, until my blood levels rose back up, which takes about 90 days. What else happened? So finally, I had the 2 blood transfusions, and then they let us go. That was a lot to deal with for my first kid, and I am so grateful that she was okay. That's all I kept saying. I was so grateful that she was okay. And I was even challenged in that thought process. One of the doctors was like, yeah, we're supposed to say that, but we all know the truth is that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no. Like I would have given my life, because I had fallen in love with her long before she was actually like outside of my womb, when she was developing within my womb. Like I would have conversations with her or whatnot. And so I fell in love with her. So I would, in that moment, I would have given my life for that little girl. But the doctor completely challenged that thought process, which I thought was very evil. But that was it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I just, let me know your thoughts, opinions, any comments, whatnot. Like, this should be like an ongoing conversation. This is something that we should all really start communicating with one another, like our experiences and what's going on with our bodies, to prepare each other. Thanks for listening.